Thank you for joining our webinar about civic engagement and idea vibes and IdeaScale. We're going to get started here, but before I begin, I just wanted to let you know how we're managing our time here today. In a moment, I'll hand things over to Paul Dombowski. He is the founder of Idea Vibes and an expert on civic engagement. He's going to speak to you all for the next 15 minutes or so, and then we'll hand things over to Audrey Zuro, who will talk more about the new opportunities afforded by the IdeaScale solution. I'll keep an eye on the question feed the whole time so that as you have questions, feel free to fire them in, and we'll just respond to as many as we can at good points. I'll try and find good stopping points to ask those questions. We'll also have a few minutes for live Q&A at the end of the webinar. I also wanted to let everyone know that we are recording this webinar, so it will be possible to access it after the event is over. And we'll send out a link to anyone who registered so that they can find it online. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me, jessica.day@ideascale.com. We'll see if you have any questions, maybe Paul or Audrey can answer them afterwards as well. But I'm going to hand the presenting capabilities over to Paul, and let's get started. Thanks, Paul, for joining us.
Thank you, Jessica, for setting everything up, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I first wanted to start by saying that we're quite excited. I'm quite excited to join IdeaScale and looking forward to working with them in the future. And so we thought the best way to introduce IdeaScale and talk about what we're doing together was to have a webinar and invite friends and family out to take a look at what we're working on together. So I'm joined, as Jessica mentioned, on this call with Audrey, and who's going to talk about the IdeaScale solution and what they've been up to. And so I think this will give us a good introduction to capabilities and what we've been working on together. So we'll go through some a little bit on crowdsourcing citizen engagement and talk about IdeaScale for citizen engagement as well, do a demo, and then lots of time for questions as well. So I think that this will give everyone a good overview of what we've been up to and what kinds of things we may be able to help with in the future. So Jessica mentioned that I was the founder of Idea Vibes, and I recently had the opportunity to join IdeaScale with their acquisition of Idea Vibes, and it's quite exciting for me because it's the opportunity for us to take what we've been doing on the citizen engagement space to the next level, and especially working with cities and governments of different levels. Audrey is the Director of New Business at IdeaScale, and on the call we have people that are participating from Canada, United States, and the UK, looks like, and we've got people from cities, NGOs, state and local government, as well as the federal government of Canada. So this is a good cross-section of people to sort of hear our message and also to interact with us and going forward. So Idea Vibes, for those of you that don't know or didn't know about us, we started in 2010, and we were actually a crowd-funded startup, and we're based here in Ottawa, Canada. And our focus was on citizen engagement and open innovation, particularly with governments as well as nonprofit organizations and other NGO-type groups. We ran one of Canada's first crowdfunding sites called FundChange with a partner, TELUS, which is one of Canada's major telecom carriers. And in April of this year, we were acquired by IdeaScale. So crowdsourcing for citizen engagement is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and it's something that I know some of you on the call deal with on a daily basis, certainly the citizen engagement part. And I'm quite passionate about the belief that giving citizens the opportunity to engage with their government at different levels, as well as giving consumers the ability to engage with their brands is something that people are looking for, and organizations are striving to meet those needs in order to have conversations happen in a way that benefits everyone. So from the citizen engagement perspective, we're looking at things like policy, community projects, land use development, all the way down to budgeting and even crowdfunding. And I think the overarching theme with these is is the opportunity to surface new ideas and socialize them through social media as well as traditional media and refine them. And I think that's the great benefit of this method of citizen engagement. And if you look at the citizen engagement spectrum, you start with just informing citizens on the left, but what citizens are really looking for are the opportunity to be empowered, the opportunity for them to be involved in making things happen. And they're perfectly willing to get engaged. And we're a big believer that this empowerment gives citizens not only the opportunity to help make things happen, but I think also make it easier for the staff at cities and various levels of governments, easier for them to make these things happen. So one of the theories that we've come up with, I guess, based on a couple of years of doing this and understanding what challenges cities and other levels of government have around voter participation, which aren't exactly great, is this idea that we all would benefit from more engagement from various levels of government in order to keep the relationship stronger than just saying every 4 years we want your vote. And I think that we might see that as people do this more, cities and other levels of government do this more often, the opportunity will allow citizens to feel more part of the process, and we will in fact see more voter participation. And that's something that we're going to look at in the future as time goes on. So I thought I'd go through a few examples of a few great clients that I've worked with in the past on some really innovative campaigns that they ran using the crowdsourcing model to engage citizens, come up with ideas, but really also allow for participation at a level that was new for many of these organizations. So the City of Ottawa did a Choosing Our Future campaign, which was focused on sustainability. And the opportunity was for citizens to participate in ideas and how to make the city more sustainable. And one of the things that they found was that citizens were actually willing to go further than they thought in actions and programs to help the city become more sustainable. The participation was quite good, and it was driven through the activities of social media as well as other things that the city does on a normal basis, from communication on the website to emails, that kind of thing. This campaign was run in English and French, and there were some key successes that came out of it, which was the opportunity to hear from new voices, as well as the sparking of innovation in the community, which then caused linkages. And I think that's the great part of it, where the community groups that participated actually carried the torch on many of these things and helped the city bring some of them to fruition so that they would be able to make them part of the way that things happen in Ottawa. And I think that's Ottawa's role as the capital of Canada, to be a leader in these kinds of things. And so I really enjoyed working with the city staff on this project because of the innovation, but I think also because of their passion around citizen engagement. Another project that the city did was quite innovative in its approach to getting the community involved in coming up with project ideas at this sort of micro community level. And this was quite exciting because, again, it was innovative, but also it really, I thought, was a great example of a city or government organization putting their money where their mouth was, and so giving the community the opportunity to come up with ideas that fit a certain criteria, and then that also gave them the ability to really gauge what people were doing or wanting to do in their communities, and I thought that was quite exciting. So the campaign, we call them campaign, and I think that it really demonstrated the use of social media as well as other means to get the word out. The City of Ottawa is a bilingual city, and so this campaign was run in English and French.
We had a question here,
The last
Paul.
example I was going to show you was,
Yeah, we
oh,
just
sorry,
had a question
go
here.
ahead.
Is like, for these types of campaigns, what is the metric for success? Is it how many ideas or how many participants? What should people be looking for?
So for campaigns like this, one of the big things that people are looking for is a cross-section of ideas as well as engagement around those ideas. So things like comments and then the sharing of those ideas. I think the other thing is that the ability um, to connect with new people. There's every city or every country has activists and people that are very involved, but the opportunity for sort of regular folk to get involved is also a key success in that it really reaches out to people that normally haven't been part of the process. And so their addition to new lists and wanting to keep engaged in the process is a way to measure that. And I think that these campaigns have demonstrated that in their ability to do it. I think that the last part is the ability for community groups to come together and participate with the city in coming with solutions to these ideas or be able to bring these ideas to life is another measure of the success. And so the next example I was going to show was one with the Ottawa Public Library, and it was their first foray into an online initiative and was focused on trying to engage citizens for ideas on the library of the future. And this really gave them the opportunity to reach out to people that are quite passionate about the library. And that's one of the things that surfaced was, in fact, how passionate Ottawa citizens are about the library. And I think this is consistent across North America, that libraries are an integral part of our community and with computers are not going away. This campaign required the development of a microsite, and again in English and French. And the online campaign had a fair bit of activity. There was over 15,000 what we call engagements, so whether it's ideas or comments or sharing or votes, that kind of thing. They had a number of traditional ways to promote this, so things like postcards and posters, but also they use social media extensively and the media as well. Lots of ideas. So one of the great things about the IdeaScale solution is the ability to bring similar ideas together. That's not something that we had in our platform at IdeaVibes, but it's something that our customers have been looking for. And so I think that this is a perfect campaign that would have seen that kind of benefit. The key successes for this, again, the passion of Ottawa citizens. I think the other part was how much new Canadians rely on libraries, and I think that would be consistent everywhere. And so the kinds of services that they're looking for, the ideas that they had around those kinds of things were a big part of the block of ideas that were received.
We had
And
we
finally,
had
one of the
another
things,
question just come in, Paul, that's asking, I
sure.
think the question is, what are the tangible benefits of a system like this? So like, I think maybe what are some of the results from some of these projects that you're talking about even?
Yeah, so certainly the library campaign, some of the tangible benefits were revisions to things like hours, which was one of the big requests that was made, access to computers, more computers. So there were programs that the library was able to undertake and I guess get approval from a management perspective based on the data from this crowdsourcing campaign. And I think that is the case for things that the city has done as well, is that they use this as data to go to their team members at the city to be able to, whether it is to revise programs or put up signage or things like that. Certainly the Wood Park campaign, some of the things that the city was able to do were not large, big ideas as far as cost, but were things like improved signage or improved lighting and pathways, that kind of thing. And those really were great quality of life improvements to the people in that community, and were things that the city could do without it being too painful on the city. So this kind of campaign was, and as the city ones were all defined length campaigns. So a lot of the ones that IdeaScale does are long-term campaigns. Um, IdeaVibes did more short-term campaigns that had a real clear objective at the beginning, a set period of time, and then the big thing was that the community was quite thirsty for the results. And I think that's a great sign of a successful campaign is when they want to know, so what happened and what are you going to do? And which I think does put pressure on these organizations to communicate these things more so than they may have done in the past with things like surveys. But the benefit is that citizens feel that they really do have a part in the way things are being run. So next up, we're going to learn a little bit about IdeaScale and the
Great.
kinds of work that they've been doing. And Audrey's going to take over from me on this.
Okay, I think might need to, we're both in the same room here. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Paul, for kind of queuing that up and sharing what you had done over with IdeaVibes and kind of some background. As far as the wanted to go ahead. Sorry, excuse us while we're getting just a few of our ducks in a row here with presentation. Okay, I think you guys all see what I'm going to be talking about here. But essentially, who is IdeaScale? I'm not sure exactly how much all of you know, but a small introduction is the fact that number one, we are an open innovation solution. We are in the cloud exclusively. We provide an end-to-end offering from strategy of all the beginnings and what you're looking to accomplish and helping identify those goals and objectives out to actually the delivery, all the way helping you figure out what it is those deliverables need to be for your particular organization and for the people that you're looking to benefit from that. We've been the leading vendor to both enterprise and government since 2009. I know that a lot of the work that Paul has done has been with civic engagement and more focused on government issues, and therefore it's a very good fit since that was really where our beginning had happened as well. In some regards, we're considered the world's largest platform. We do leverage a freemium model, which allows a wide depth and breadth of people to be able to participate with 25,000 communities active, as well as over 4 million users at any point in time. That being said, we've also serviced over 20% of the Fortune 100 as well. So we have a pretty extensive client base and are able to have experience brought from many different verticals on that regard as well. So moving right along. So to talk, probably first and foremost, it's going, one of our most recognized engagements, obviously, has been with the White House, and it's actually one of it happened when President Obama took office back in 2009, and he had an open government initiative, and he was looking to be able to crowdsource all of the federal employees, which greatly number and all across different departments and many different scopes. And so IdeaScale was able to fit the bill, and we were chosen and as the vendor to provide that platform. And so it was rolled out to all federal employees, regardless of their capacity or their area, and it was really focused and targeted on cost savings and efficiency. So anywhere in their respective departments were they able to see areas for improvement, or whether it's process efficiency or actual cost savings that usually the two go hand in hand. But they've been running it for the last 5 years. They've had over 81 ideas implemented, as you can see. They've coined the fact that over hundreds of millions of dollars have been saved. And each year a winner is selected. Even though many ideas are implemented, an overall winner is selected. They get an opportunity to meet the president. And so it's a pretty exciting opportunity for us to be able to provide that service, not only to the citizens as a whole, because we all benefit from that, but it's definitely was a pretty significant segue into becoming kind of a go-to for all things government from that point moving forward. So just to talk a little bit about, the services that we do offer, I'd mentioned that it's from, kind of end to end. Obviously, with your strategy and building the architecture of your site and kind of your goals, we do offer advisory services that can get you there. Some folks come in knowing exactly what they want to do and already have identified teams, but some folks don't, and they'd like a little bit of help in terms of best practice and understanding, where they should be, putting their time and effort and what they should be looking for. And so we do have advisory services that can definitely assist you with that. And as obviously moving down the line between moderation and recruiting, a lot of the things that come into the site, it's the kind of the what next, and the tool obviously allows for building those different ideas out, being able to understand what are going to be the most effective ideas for your particular goals and objectives, and then moving, obviously down, we have design capabilities to make your site look and feel and portray the branding that you're looking for, as well as training for your users, and especially your administrators and moderators, to help them understand the best use case of the tool, make it the most efficient it can be. And then of course we have 24/7 help at all times, live chat, that know the tool inside and out. So if there's ever any questions, they can certainly get the answers that they need in a timely fashion. Next, basically what's different about IdeaScale. We've talked a little bit about this. We are fully featured, end-to-end innovation solution, the largest platform. We do have a global presence in the fact that we serve, we've present in over 100 countries, and we do have multilingual capabilities on a global scale. So, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So, hold on just a second. You can go ahead into the next slide. So the new features that you can expect, is the fact that you can build an entire community of advocates around civic issues. So you can have an entire community that's dedicated to a particular cause in terms of having a targeted effort. There's really not any IT support required. It's very easy to set up and administrate once you get going. And there's it's fully accessible, meaning both with multilingual as well as multi-ability. Here we have Section 508 government compliance, which has certain requirements that are needed for people to be able to see, use special needs of some degree. So we have accommodation for that as well. As far as custom fields, that's an area that is very valuable. It's really where you can ask your users or your idea submitters to really augment that idea with specific information that you're asking for. So when they submit their new idea, depending on the different categories that they might be selecting, you can ask specific additional questions, which is very important to get that data and get that information at the time of submission, so that it really helps you as an organization understand, the depth of the idea, how well thought out it is, and it just, it saves time in terms of going back and forth to your idea submitter to get that information at a different point in time. And those can be gleaned from users. You can ask custom fields on users. Where are you from? What location are you calling in, or submitting your idea from? Maybe what area of expertise, things like that. We also have social sharing. I know that Paul alluded to that earlier as well. There's the ability to, leverage those social networks as far as publicity goes, as well as user engagement. Obviously, having the opportunity to log in using existing credentials is very helpful. It takes kind of one of those, barriers out. So making it the lower barrier of entry is really what we're after, to increase that engagement. So whether it's through Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn even, you have the opportunity to use those credentials, as well as then push out your ideas or other things that you may find to those networks, which can just drive people going back and forth from those areas. In addition, we are also fully mobile optimized. So obviously with the nature of today being very mobile, everyone's either on a tablet or a device. You want to be able to access, all the sites are fully mobile optimized. So regardless of your method of coming up with it, there is the capability of being able to access the full site and all of its functionality to be able to submit ideas in the viewpoint that you're seeing from your mobile device. And then, of course, from a security standpoint, all of what you're seeing here, we our engagements both in government and enterprise level, security is an utmost concern and priority here at IdeaScale, and we are audited on a regular basis. We do have, a SAML, SSO, and password encryption for authentication. We are always backing up our system and have put, major defense mechanisms in place. As well. So, and of course, if those of you who have any interest, usually this is one of those situations that you can rest assured that we've addressed all of those issues, and we have definitely a far more comprehensive list of all of those certifications and processes that we go as far as securing data, and we can always, once you contact us, we can definitely share those in more depth. But that is definitely, one of those situations that is very important for us.
We had a question here about integration and SSO, and I just real quick can speak to that, saying that we integrate with a lot of different technologies. We have a very well documented REST API that numerous clients of ours have adopted for different purposes, either surfacing data in different ways or finding new ways to integrate IdeaScale into their web pages. We have a Yammer integration. So we have lots of capabilities in that arena, and certainly many of our clients have leveraged us to do that. SSO is something that our enterprise clients use regularly. It's an ease of use offering that makes it more accessible to everybody. And we had another question about security and reliability, but I think that Audrey just addressed that. So I think we'll move on to the demo portion of our webinar here. Let me just share your screen, Audrey.
All right. Okay, hopefully, I'm not sure if there's any kind of lag time here that we're dealing with, but I know that we're kind of running out. Hold on just a second. Okay, so what you're seeing here is basically a demo community that we have set up just to kind of give some of the basic functionality in order to bring it to life for you in order to be able to see. We don't have a whole lot of time in terms of dedication, but I did definitely want to point out just a few of the things that I think Paul had mentioned would be beneficial for you in terms of some new functionality that you will be able to experience. One of which is, we'll go ahead and click into an idea here. One of which is the ability to have threaded comments. And so here, as you can see, is the actual body of an idea. This is a very highly configurable site, so what you're seeing here is definitely just the way this particular community has been configured, but there's lots of different methodologies and configurations and capabilities that you can enable or disable, actually. But what you're seeing here is the actual body of the idea along with the title, the different vote count as it currently states. But in addition, the comment thread that's associated with this idea is really where, a lot of times the magic happens, is when everyone starts putting their minds on it and be able to give their 2 cents and be able to understand, a little bit about what's going on. And as you can see, there's the ability to have a conversational tone that these comment threads can take, meaning here's a comment on the idea, and then there is a comment on the comment of the idea, but then it's a definitely, like you see, as a conversational tone. You can tell by at a quick glance kind of, an overall picture without getting too confused in terms of what is everyone referring to. There's also the capability of voting comments up and down as well, so it definitely allows for you to be able to really address and see what is connecting with your community members, what they're, what's trending, what they like, what they don't like. And so this definitely gives you a little bit more insight into that conversation with the idea. In addition, there's quite a few different moderation capabilities. Moderation is really, a tremendous of tremendous importance, at least for the success of our communities, being able to move these things through in an organized fashion in order to be able to optimize the information that's coming in, so it's not just getting put into the giant box or getting buried behind multiple ideas that are coming through on an upswing of information. So this allows people to, your moderators, to take a look at things and be able to prioritize them according to the content. So an example of that, just to kind of give you an idea of, I'll just take this as an example. Number one is the ability to Stagegate, kind of have a life cycle of your ideas. As you can see here, these are just some of the idea statuses that have been kind of put into the system. But these are all, mind you, very customizable. You can actually come in and change the name of these if you wanted, if you had a different flow or something that maybe wanted to follow along some branding or verbiage that you're comfortable with, you can actually change these. But this is what we've primed the pump with. So as you can see, there's different aspects. We have a pending queue, which allows your ideas to essentially go into a moderation pending queue where they need to be reviewed before they're put out to the community at large. Maybe could be very useful and important for those of you with public engagements, as we know that sometimes that is always risky in terms of what gets put out there for everyone to see. So you can actually have a pending approval, and then there's all of these other different statuses that you can move your idea through, whether it's an active status, and then maybe once it's hit a particular set of criteria and you want to be able to take it to that next stage, you can put it into review, and then it's in progress. You can move all the way down to completed. And essentially what this does is it not only allows you to organize your thoughts and your ideas from an organizer's perspective, but also it gives accountability and traction to your idea from your users as well, where they have the ability to know it's not sitting in a big, deep black hole of a suggestion box and never been seen by anyone. It actually has legs. It's actually moving through. There's actually people taking a look. So it's really valuable for maybe a loyalty standpoint when people are recognizing that their information that is obviously important to them, important enough for them to submit, is actually getting looked at. So this is just some of the capabilities from a moderation standpoint in terms of actually moving those ideas and organizing them from that standpoint. In addition, I know that Paul had mentioned the tendency for duplicate ideas. Obviously, that's always going to be an issue. Let me go back to my home page here. When you submit a new idea, we have a couple ways that addresses duplication. So number one, as you can see, we have when you hit a new idea, a light box comes up and there's some capabilities here. For example, we have a predictive search mechanism. As you can see, as I'm typing in the title of my new idea, you saw it was scrolling through. The system actually goes through all of the submitted ideas and it looks for similar words that are based on a keyword search. And it will list all of those similar ideas that popped up in that search as hyperlinks. So therefore, it gives the user an opportunity to review some of those idea titles, which then allow them to recognize maybe I'm already putting something, maybe something already exists. What's nice about this is this becomes a hyperlink. If this is truly something I want to take a look at, I think it might be the same thing, I can simply click there. It'll take me to the body of that idea, where then if I recognize it's the same, I can either vote or comment rather than submitting a brand new idea with the exact same capability, basically the same tendency for it. So that's one way that the system has drastically reduced, if not eliminated in some cases, the tendency for those duplicate ideas. But in the event that one slips through, we do have a merge function as well. And I just wanted to kind of let you know here, we can show this idea happens to be merged. I happen to already know it. I won't take you through the actual process of merging. I'll just kind of give you an example of what it looks like. So drive mode app to stop texting and driving, as well as this. As you can see down here, it says merged by Ingrid Swenson here. She had actually put in an idea that had something to do with do not disturb while driving. So the moderators in this particular site thought that those two concepts were very similar and therefore wanted to kind of unify the feedback that they were getting. So they merged this idea. What you're asked to do when you merge is essentially pick two ideas that are to be merged. You choose one that you would rather have as the parent, and then one that becomes the child. The parent obviously remains kind of the main title as you're seeing here, and then the child essentially becomes a comment within the comment thread. The votes that it had before it came will remain as kind of votes up and down to the actual comment itself, so it looks like a voting more on the comment rather than the idea. And also the votes that were given are also calculated. There's an algorithm that discusses this and will basically resolve any of those votes, as well as choose if someone had voted positively on both of those, it'll only count that as one. So it's actually very smart technology that helps you be able to really make sense of this without it being too messy. So this is an example of the capability to merge, as well as, so that's another functionality of being able to kind of clean your system up, keep it tidy, and people don't have to be distracted by that. Another issue, obviously, especially with public communities, is the ability to have a profanity filter or be able to kind of make sure that the content that's just coming into your site is clean and is appropriate. We do have some capabilities within the site to have a profanity filter that allows you, and as I'll see here under security, under access restrictions, it's a setting in the back that you can actually enable or disable, and you can actually make some additions to it as well. So obviously standard swear words are already loaded into the system as a whole and hard-coded in there, and will automatically, when this is turned on, will automatically block out any words that it recognizes in the system. But in addition, it's important to know there's this box. I know one of our other customers that is the Cerebral Palsy Alliance. They've used this with a public interface, and there are some derogatory terms or terms they would rather not necessarily have been used in their site that sometimes refer to what, the issues that they were dealing with. And so what you're able to do is actually name other things that might be targeted. So you can actually add to the library of what you consider, inappropriate language or things that you'd rather not, and the system will recognize those for this community, and it will actually block those out as well. So there are definitely customizable capabilities to help your community remain clean and appropriate for everyone, and regarding being offensive. So those are another couple things that Paul had mentioned would be important to show out to you. Wanted to just quickly talk about reporting. So reporting, we do have some pretty cool dashboard style reporting charts that show you can definitely break them down by many different ways, whether it's campaigns, you want to know more information about maybe votes or ideas, the different areas that they come, and these reports are able to be, definitely seen in a very nice graphically pleasing way, as well as you can actually come down and get a little bit more information about them as a whole with some of the charted views as you see here. And that pretty much goes down through your members, your ideas, and so on and so forth through your different community. You also have the ability to see your activity based on your users. You can set the time frame of here just to give a nice overall viewpoint on how things are going at a quick glance. One of my favorite things that is kind of new, it's been rolled out in the last 3 to 6 months here at IdeaScale, is the ability to create a community infographic. This is a great way to be able to share activity in a very nice, easy way. You have the ability, for example, this is on this community, you have the ability to create a report that kind of, you can choose the different modules, different things that you want to show, but what's great is you can also publish it out to a URL, and then you're able to share this for meetings, you're able to share this for, even your users. You can pop out this URL to everyone, and then it would be able to be seen, which just basically gives your activity. It can give, different ideas. You can change this for different times. It can come out on a weekly basis. It can come out once a month. It can come out for whatever you need, but there's lots of different ways to be able to manage this particular aspect, and it's a just nice graphical way of being able to describe the activity that's going on in your community. I think in the interest of time, I'll just go ahead and pop into the last couple things that I wanted to talk to you about today with regards to assessment. It's kind of once your ideas are collected and they're moving down your stage gates, everything's moving along nicely, then you kind of get to a point where you're actually trying to now to decide what next, which ideas are the ones we need to run with, which are the things that we'd like to do next. Essentially, we do have an assessment suite that is really designed to help you with those particular questions. What you are able to do, it's basically a 5-star assessment, and you're able to push this out to any number of people, specific groups perhaps, maybe managerial level folks, but it's based on you can have any particular questions that you want. It might be the highest voted ones, it might be one in particular category or an area that you're looking to focus on, but you essentially are able to push out these 5-star ratings against specific criteria questions. Let me go ahead and just give you an example of what that might look like. As you can see, I've been invited to a couple assessments here, and I'm going to choose one. Gives me a welcome. This is what it's asking me to do, and essentially pops me directly into this particular assessment. As you can see, these are the 3 questions that the assessment creator decided to ask, and I can go from strongly disagree, agree to agree, how I feel this idea stacks up against these particular questions. I also have the ability to leave a comment if I feel like that is a necessary thing. If I need more details about this particular idea, it's very easy for me to go ahead and look at all of the associated information that might, have an effect on the way I decide to vote on this. And then essentially I would be able to go through all of the different ideas in this particular assessment and then have them be submitted. What that looks like on the back interface here, I'll give you an example of some stats. Let's go ahead and just look at some stats. As you can see, it's going to list all of those go through an algorithm. It takes an average of all of the ratings and how they fared. The overall rating, like you can see, these are the ideas, and they're listed from top to bottom in terms of ranking and how they did. Their overall averages on how they fared in questions. What's kind of nice is you also can see the members assessed to make sure who's seen these ideas, who's actually completed the assessment, and then you also have the ability to remind them all if they have not, if you're really looking for all of their feedback. So we've tried to make it very easy for you to be able to get that information that you're looking for. You also can drill down a little bit deeper. You can take a look at how your individuals decided to, what were their particular answers to these questions. What I like about this is it also allows you the ability to know where some of your rubs might be. Tom Walker feels very differently about this idea than John, for example. So therefore, it's going to give you some insight on where the people maybe aren't seeing the concept in the same light, and you can focus on that rather than, an understanding where those rubs are going to be. Another particular interesting thing that I like as well is the pairwise comparison. This is just another way of being able to assess your ideas. Let's say a lot of your ideas are faring quite well. And you want to be able to, ask your folks what they would like. I might choose 5s on all of mine in an assessment, but when you force me to actually make a decision, for example, which idea do you like best? If you had to vote, what would you choose? So what this does is you can put a bunch of ideas in a particular exercise, and it makes you choose this or that, A or B. I would have to choose, and it would move through this entire exercise, forcing me to pick one. And then what it's going to do is submit that to the system, and the system is actually going to then produce a report very similar, and let's go ahead and take a look at the results. As you can see, it's going to give you an idea of how some of these ideas are faring. So clearly, the heart rate monitor was the one that prevailed in this particular exercise. More people, when asked to choose between one or the other, chose the heart rate monitor. So this is just another way for you to be able to really understand what is trending. Maybe if you have limited funds or you only can fund 1 or 2 ideas, this is another way to kind of hone in on what's truly trending with those decision makers in your community. So I think that about sums up my time, unless there's any questions, or Jessica or Paul, if you had any questions for me as well, or would like me to kind of highlight any other features, just let me know.
Great job. Thanks, Audrey. I know that was real fast for all of you on the call, and we're at the end of our time here. If there are any other questions that we haven't had a chance to get to, we're glad to respond by email. So go ahead and just shoot those in. As I said, all of this will be available for viewing online once we've got the recording uploaded. So thank you all of you for joining. Paul, thank you for speaking with us about civic engagement.
Yes, no problem.
And yes, feel free to email with any questions you might have. Thanks for joining, everybody.